Right, I want to just demonstrate how I make a joiner. This is a joiner for my KA8, which is obviously a full composite version of the KA8. But anyway, I need a joiner to join the inner panels to the outer panels. So I decided to make a nice flat joiner blade basically. So what I've done is I've constructed a little box, if you like to call it, out of PVC foam board. It's 10mm PVC foam board. I've just screwed some pieces on the top over here. After it's constructed, I have then I've covered it with ram wax, let that dry, polished it off, and just as a sort of a guarantee, I've given it a little spritz of this Ease Release 200, this Man Ease Release 200. I find this is really good for releasing when you don't want shiny parts, because this leaves a matte surface. So I don't mind what this looks like. So I've used a little bit of this as well. It's a very good release agent. Now, this is 10mm thick. In order to calculate or how much I need, I've cut a whole lot of pieces of carbon, and I'm going to put a foam core in it. So this is a piece of XPS polystyrene foam, which I've cut to about 5mm thick, and I've got several alternating layers in here. I've got a unidirectional, which is about 0.5mm thick. I've got a biaxial fabric, which is also about 0.5mm thick. I've got two more layers of the unidirectional carbon. These are just strips of unidirectional that I've cut to the width, and finishing it with a layer of biaxial carbon on the outside. And what's on this side is exactly mirrored what's on that side. And I'm going to start off with a little bit of 163 gram glass cloth, which I've cut at 45 degrees. I've kind of measured out the size that I need. This will be basically go down the bottom, come up the sides, and wrap over, and have a slight overlap across the middle over here. So the next thing is obviously to mix up some resin, which I've done. So this is Epilem 2022 resin. It's a very nice high mechanical strength resin system. This is it here, Epilem 2022. It's an Axon product. Love this stuff, very nice to work with, low viscosity, nice high mechanical strength. Right, so starting off with the 163 gram cloth, which is just going to be the wrap and hold everything nicely together inside this mold. I'm going to start by putting in some resin. Now, I don't have to be very careful with the amount of resin I put here, because each layer of carbon is going to be absorbing from the bottom as well. So I actually put in deliberately quite a lot of resin, because I want the unidirectional carbon to wet out from the bottom as well. Alright, so nice liberal amount of resin in there. Just fold these back to the outside. It's almost like a pool of resin in there at this point. Right, now I'm going to start with the biaxial. You can put a twirl weave, a nice decorative carbon if you want. You can make pretty looking. I'm just going for structure. This is biaxial. It's at 45 degrees. The fibers are running at 45 degrees, and this is part of the construction of this actual blade joiner, which I'm going to be using. So I'm not going to be using just purely unidirectional, and it's going to be 10mm thick, so it's going to be super strong. Right, a little bit extra resin so that the next layer can be wet out. Now this is the UD carbon going in, so I've only got I'm going to put two layers of UD on the outside, just underneath the biax, and then another layer of four of the biaxial. I think it's a 300 gram or a 400 gram biaxial that I'm using, carbon. I don't know what the weight of this UD is, but it's fairly, I think it's also about a 300 gram or thereabouts. Quite a bit of excess resin in here. And put the next layer of UD in. So biax, 2 layers of UD. It's kind of boring to watch this whole process, but it doesn't take very long. It's a small joiner. And this is how you can construct it, joiners, any shape and size that you like. You can make them square, rectangular. You can put in multiple pieces of foam core in the inside if you want. If you're doing a flat joiner like this and you want 3 verticals, you put in 2 bits of foam. And even if you like, when you're finished, because it's polystyrene, you can just pour some acetone down the inside and it'll dissolve the styrene out. So if you want to hollow right through your joiner, you can maybe put a control wire through there if you wanted to. Right, so now that's, so I've had 2 UD, well I've had biaxial, 2 UD, biaxial, another UD going in. And then the core is going to go in next. Right, so now the core can go in. Now, I've made the core a little bit shy of, there's a gap. There'll be a gap on either side of the core. Once the core is in, there'll be a gap on either side. So I need to be able to fill that gap. And I've got some, just some carbon, 24K carbon toes, which I'll use. Let me just take my little stocky here and press this down into the corners to make sure that it's all nicely down in the corners. It's very easy to keep pushing in the middle and the corners don't really get attention, so they don't go down nicely. So I've just got a little sucker stick which I've cut off just to force them down into the corners. Right, so now I'm putting the core in. Okay, now I need to fill that gap in the core. So what I've got here is I've got 8 carbon toes. I'm just going to put some resin on them. They're just laying on a piece of plastic. And I'll bring them this side and I'll wet them out properly. Oops. So we're going to get a squeegee. I have to go around that side. Right, so now just gently wet this out, pull this resin across, wet out each of these toes nicely. I'm going to bundle them up anyway and push them into that little gap. Right, this is just to make sure that the resin goes right the way through each one of these toes. Do this on a piece of plastic. I'm going to put quite a bit of pressure on this when I close the mold, so to speak. You can also have a look here and you'll see there's still some dry patches in the carbon toes, but not too much. So I'm happy now to gather. I'm just going to gather 4 of them together in a clump. and keep them relatively straight. Put 4 one side and 4 the other side, so 4 go together there. Pick up all 4, right, and just push it in to this little gap here. Keep all those toes inside. Right, gather these 4 together. Get rid of the piece of plastic now. Bit mucky, this job. Important to have a nice pair of gloves on. Nitrile gloves are good for chemical resistant from these epoxies. Right, so now we can push that down into that gap. Right, so push that down. Now we're going to just go in reverse basically. Whatever I did on the one side of this, on that side of this core, will be mirrored on this side. So on that side I had a UD1 and then a bi-X. Now I'm going to stop the video at this point because I'll come back just now and I'll show you the rest. A bit boring to keep watching the same thing over and over. So let me just clean the epoxy off my fingers so I don't get it all over my phone. Right, switch off the video.